Yes, I did holler about the $48 an hour minimum wage.
I was just going to get into it. You made a lot of headlines kind of out the gate in your race here. I'm going to pull it up here in just a second. But
I did not know that.
You went ahead and called for a minimum wage increase in Georgia to keep track kind of with inflation and productivity.
Yes.
So as I put this up on the screen.
The following show and broadcast is a production of Better Savannah, an independent expenditure committee dedicated to better policy outcomes at the state and local level. The views, opinions, and statements made by the hosts and/or their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Better Savannah.
John?
Chuck?
We're live, baby. It's our regular weekly show. This is episode 53. It's rolling right along. We're going to be at 100 before you know it, John. Yeah. We sat down earlier today and recorded our first interview for the Georgia House District 165 special election to fulfill the unexpired term of the late Mickey Stevens. It was a fascinating interview with Sabrina Kent. Sabrina Green Kent was the first person to sit down with us. We're going to release that full show to our members over the weekend. And then after we've got everybody lined up, I think we'll kind of broadcast all of these interviews in a short amount of time, probably in about 10 or 15 days total, to kind of get them all out at the same time. And I want to get them. I said to Sabrina, I think it's good too. I want to get all these interviews boosted to the district because I want as many people to see. You know, that was an hour and 50-minute conversation we had earlier. We'll play a couple clips tonight. I don't want to spoil all of it, but there was a few just really great clips that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But you just asked me, and I want to start here because I have a feeling why you mentioned it, but you said we should really mention the California recall election failing the other day. For those of you who aren't aware, California has an insanely easy recall system as well as a ballot proposal system. So, John, you're from California. Give us a brief synopsis of what happened to your knowledge.
Well, California is a very strong blue state. It gets stronger every year. Gray Davis years back got recalled, but there was a...
Is that the Schwarzenegger election?
Yeah.
Yes.
In this election, Chuck, there was no Schwarzenegger. There absolutely was nothing. Plus, people like Gavin Newsom. He's done a great job. I can tell you, I just spent, as you know, a
mini vacation over there.
Yeah, almost 7 weeks in California, and man, their vaccination rates are the highest in the nation. They are spending money because they've built up a reserve, a surplus above and beyond their reserve. So everywhere, roads are getting built, infrastructure is getting mended and tended, and it's just really nice to see. The only thing they're missing is water right now, and I don't think Gavin Newsom can do much about that. So anyway, I was delighted to see the results of that election.
Well, the context I like about it, John, is I know people say it's a waste of money and the election. It's the rules that state is governed by. And what it shows me is that there's a big participation rate in democracy that we're kind of lacking here. And what I mean by that is, John, if we don't see some progress in the next 6 to 12 months, I mean, we're really in a position where we've got to consider, getting a ballot, Article 9 under the Georgia Constitution going for at least, a couple of items: impact fees, term limits, restoring access to the ballot. That's kind of what piqued my interest about the California recall, is the amount of participation. The recall effort failed by 3 percentage points worse than Donald Trump lost the election by in California. So, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're really just a minority out in the wind. There's only one way to find out, though, John, and that's if we get something on the ballot and put it to the voters. So that was kind of the context that I wanted to discuss that in. What do you think about the future of ballot proposals in Georgia?
Well, let me answer a different question. I like what you just did, which is you sort of opened the kimono a little bit and gave viewers a look that our planning is seriously going towards a citizens' initiative to correct some sort of policy. Everyone knows that we're policy driven and policy focused, and we just had a revolutionary election, and then to our chagrin and just total mind blowing, we had 3 people defect and roll right over to the status quo. All that
That's
work,
right.
all that effort, and they become Benedict Arnolds.
And if that's the way it's got to be, then we might just have to go around them and go directly to the voters.
Exactly.
So I agree that that's kind of the context. I wanted to see what the results were, and it was a bigger participation, and the right decision was casted by the voters.
Yeah, and also personally, the amount of cash contributions that I personally gave to Linda, Dietrich, Curtis, and Nick Colombo.
Not to mention this project, sure.
Yeah, not to mention what we did as an independent committee, but me as an individual, if I could, bundle that money back up, that's, maybe a quarter of the way towards funding a citizens' initiative to accomplish some desirable policy outcome. So I'm tired of getting stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
I'm tired of weak people that revert to the easy path and follow, a messianic,
whatever is politically convenient, at the time, and that's not good.
Yeah, they didn't even get in long enough to taste the Kool-Aid and make a decision.
They swallowed it before they got in. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
it was that, John. It was that couple of weeks between the runoff and the inauguration, and we just lost it right in that amount of time. It was insane how quickly things changed.
Yeah. I'm sure Bill Hubbard and Joe Marinelli are.
I think we taxed them a little bit. It cost them a little bit more than normal, but I think they still in the end got what they were looking for.
Yep.
But
he who laughs best. So.
I hear you. I mean, it's the thing about this world is that it's not a point A to point B. It's a circle. It just keeps going, Yeah. So, anytime
we're not going anywhere.
Well, from time to time we hop off the merry-go-round a little bit and take a break, but for the most part, we're going to hop back on and keep fighting. With the ability to express free speech in a way that affects the outcome, and we've had some success with that and some failures, and I'm going to take the successes with the failures and call it a day. Call it a win.
Yeah. Well, good. Just walking back for a moment, all of those candidates that flipped on us, we didn't recruit them. That they were just pickup players, like in a pickup game on the court. If we dug deeper and cultivated our own, lineup of candidates, I don't think we'd had seen the defection and flipping that we saw. So that's another area for us to explore.
I've said this to you before. Remember, all of the candidates, with the exception of Curtis and Keisha, were like repeat candidates, basically. They were people. We went to war with the army we inherited, not the army we built, and so that's kind of the biggest thing.
Thank you,
Yeah. I wanna just discuss and preview a couple of clips from our interview today, because John, I felt like Sabrina Green-Kent set the bar pretty high for, at least with our interviews. When we discussed it thereafter, it was really 1 out of 12 issues we really had a kind of fundamental disagreement on, and even there was some room for negotiating benefits. I played a little bit of that preview clip in the intro, but I wanna start with the minimum wage thing. Okay. I've got 6 clips cut. You decide how many we do, but I want to play this minimum wage all the way through, and then I'll read you the other couple of issues, and we'll decide which ones to show for the preview tonight. All right?
Okay.
Yes, I did holler about the $48 an hour minimum wage.
I was just going to get into it. You made a lot of headlines kind of out the gate in your race here. I'm going to pull it up here in just a second. But
I did not know that.
You went ahead and called for a minimum wage increase in Georgia to keep track kind of with inflation and productivity.
Yes.
So as I put this up on the screen here for our viewers, if you're listening to this on the podcast version, up on the screen is just kind of the article from Savannah Morning News. Sabrina Green-Kent takes aim at the minimum wage trafficking in Georgia House run. And specifically, you called for a minimum wage of $48 an hour and change to kind of keep track with inflation and productivity over the last 35 or 40 years that you have been running. So why don't we start there and just have you talk a little bit about what your thought process was behind getting behind that issue front and center as soon as the race started?
Well, my thought process with that was, I'm looking at our community per se. Let's start there. We've got a community made up of a lot of younger people coming along. They're struggling. I'm a person who have struggled. I'm no better than anybody else in this community. I've had my ups and my downs as well. I became a single mother after a divorce, and luckily I had God on my side. I got strong faith, and I was able to raise my son to be a man, or raise him to go into manhood with a lot of anchors around me to encourage him even more. But at the same token, everybody doesn't have that. And because they don't have that, they're parents who are working 1, 2, 3 jobs just to make ends meet, because they're only getting paid $10 and $11 an hour. We cannot have a government that honestly believe that this is $10 or $11 an hour way possible. Not when we got companies that we're working for and we're patronizing that are making billions of dollars per quarter. When they're making billions of dollars per quarter, when you add that up at the end of the year, they're making zillions of dollars. Heck, I don't even know how to write that down. I literally don't know how to write that down. So if I can't write that down, these people got to be considerate of who they're dealing with. And if people are making money, they can spend more time at home with their children. We have less crime.
That's right.
If we get people making better money.
Wow. That's a showstopper. Chuck, I think you're frozen. Well, it looks like you're back.
Yeah, I got kicked out. Sorry about that. My Chrome had kind of crashed out a little bit. How long was I off from the clip? Just a couple seconds?
Just a few seconds.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not too bad. All right. So, you and I both agreed that the minimum wage gambit, opening salvo was really ingenious.
It was Cecil B. DeMille.
What a reference.
I mean,
yeah.
She just did it, for shock value. It was, I guess Maplethorpe-ish. It had a lot of power. Obviously, she knows she's not going to, be able to deliver that, but it over-exaggerated the issue of wages, which is fundamentally something that we constantly talk about.
That's right. That's right.
So if she wants to go big and just blow a bunch of minds and call attention, I think it's a hell of a campaign strategy, Chuck.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me read out these couple of clips, and you pick one or two that we should show. All right. I got one on council rules. I got one on the ports. I got one on SCAD. I got one on STVR, and I got one on term limits.
Well, Chuck, I love your brother, but I don't think we should be playing any of those games.
I hear you. You think we should hold them until after? Let's get the other ones recorded. So this is, again, a reminder. We've gotten confirmation from 3 of the 5 candidates, guys. All right. Next week, we're recording with Antoine Lang and with Clinton Young. And I'm going to send out emails again to Clinton Cowart. And I'm going to get in let me see if I can get into the chats here on Facebook while we're actually streaming, because I want to tag that page, Effingham County Libertarians, because I saw they were pumping up this candidate, Clinton Cowart, saying that they had gotten him to run. But I can't get anything on Facebook, or I don't see any kind of YouTube, or I don't see any social media for this guy.
Chuck, let's just give it a minute. But quite frankly, we got 3 out of the 5 committed. There's really 4 major candidates.
Sure. I want to be fair and give everybody who's qualified a chance.
Absolutely. And if they don't want to come on the show and discuss their platform and our views on policy and how they accept or reject those things, and patiently debate them, that's their choice. So
early voting starts October 4th, right, John?
We'll have
we want to have these interviews recorded by next Friday, the 24th. So I'm just putting that out. Mayor Jackson, Clinton Cowart from the Libertarian Party. You guys got until next Friday to confirm. I know that you all have received the emails. I got some confirmation on that. So I just want to throw that out there. Again, if you are a member or patron, the easiest way is on patreon.com/bettersavannah. We'll release this full interview with Sabrina Green Kent this weekend. I'll schedule that to go out before I leave for Atlanta. So that way we'll have something going for the weekend for our members. And then when we're ready, the week after next, we'll release kind of all of these episodes.
That's why it's valuable to be a member. And
that's right. Good value. Go to patreon.com/bettersavannah and become a member, a patron, so you can get access. guys, the money we're using is going to help, determine the races that we're going to play in. I want to just show the ad that you've got going on the page right now, John.
Or Tybee, right?
Yeah. So, I have said, John, that there's kind of 4 main arenas for this election, and each of these arenas has a specific set of policies, set of dynamics associated with it. You've got the countywide East Bloss election, you got House District 165, you got the Port Wentworth elections, and you got the Tybee elections.
Yep.
I know that there's some craziness going on in Garden City that I'm hoping we'll have the capacity to cover. I see Rebecca's here in the comments. If you want to get in on that with us, please let us know. I'd love to get some people on from Garden City soon to talk about the city manager crisis they've got going on over there. But over in the east end of the county, we've got this Tybee Island City Council race. There are 2 incumbents, and there are 6 total candidates. The top 3 vote getters will get a seat, and so we're gonna back Mac Kitchens. Was on our episode 51 a couple weeks ago, A Tale of Two Councils Part 1. I'll put a link to that episode in the comments as well. But let's just take a look at this.
Council members will get calls from residents that say they're tired of SDVRs for a noise violation or any such thing from SDVR. If they don't take a report, then it doesn't.
Are you aware of any single short-term vacation rental owner or management company being fined?
Never. Not one time.
Wow.
Wow. Never.
Genius. Simple, short, effective. I think the playthrough ratio so far, is like 70%.
Yeah,
so old Johnny Mac over here still got the juice.
Thanks.
What do you think the outcome is going to be there? Do you think we'll be able to make a difference? I know that you've been watching the ad numbers.
I was talking earlier with Matt, who's so dedicated to trying to correct the imbalance that this, 48% of the housing inventory on Tybee is being converted to these crazy, very expensive vacation rentals. Anyway, the thing that Mac was telling me is, I said, Mac, how's it going? What are you feeling? He says, John, people are coming up to me, thanking me for speaking out, telling me they support the cause, that they're going to vote for me. But I'll tell you something, John, that they're not going to post. They're not going to comment. They like to be anonymous.
Sure.
It's kind of like the West Virginia holler mentality. I don't mean to denigrate Tybee with that. I'm just trying to characterize this sense of privacy that residents carry with them. So they're not going to put signs in their yards. They're going to be very close to the vest on this thing, as they are in every Tybee election. So, that's why we're helping Mac. And, the guy's a fighter. He was, at the vanguard of saying, and this is years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we're losing our community. We're losing our neighborhood to this industry. And as much as, we like the former mayor, quite frankly, he didn't have a perfect record. And this subject is a big black spot on the Buelterman administration, because they looked the other way, kicked the can down.
Because he was there for 4 terms. He was there for 16 years.
Yeah. I mean,
that's too long.
Watch. So this is not Shirley Sessions' problem. She's already admitted in that moratorium meeting that council should have acted sooner and with more meaningful action, and they didn't. But Now it begins. Sorry that we fell asleep. Now we're going to do something about it. So let's hope that Mac gets one of those 3 seats and see what they can do to kind of restore the quality of life at Tybee.
Well, I just think if they can lead the way on STVR regulation on Tybee, it will give us room to keep it going in the right direction here in town in Savannah as well.
You're absolutely right. It'll be a incredible touch point for what's possible in other races, in other neighborhoods, in other communities. So, I hate to say it, but maybe as Tybee goes, so goes the city of Savannah.
Yeah, I sure hope not, John. But I think it's such a representative. It's such a good symbolic representation of the tourism issue writ large in this community.
It is.
That I just feel like, man, if we could just make a win out there, man, maybe it's the small rolling stone that gathers moss, and gets us some progress on the other side.
Yeah. You got the other Mac spot?
Let me see.
The other one, actually.
Oh, I got like 4 of them. Let me see. Let's see if this is the right one.
Say they're tired of STVRs. The kind of community we want can't live here. Where are all these people coming from?
That's not the right one. Which one?
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Good one too, though. I mean, all of these spots that you cut with them were great from that episode.
Yeah.
What about this one? Is this from like outside or from the episode we did?
Outside.
Yeah, I don't have that other one. You have to send it to me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but the general idea is, repetitive, getting this message out there. STVR regulation is far and away the number one issue there. It's not even close.
No, not even close.
So I hope our members, get the gist of what we're trying to accomplish out there. We like kind of opening up the hood a little bit to just show you guys, kind of what our thought process is and what we're trying to do to impact the outcomes.
Well,
so
nice to say, if any of our listeners or viewers know Tybee residents, registered voters at Tybee,
yes,
ask them to watch our episode with Mac. Ask them to give Mac a chance. Listen to what his objectives are, and hopefully they'll vote for him.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Absolutely. Yeah, short-term vacation rentals. STVRs are short-term vacation rentals. This is Airbnbs for those of you who are listening only on the podcast apps. I want to move on, John. I want to do, just kind of like a couple of reading series here, from our old friends over at the Savannah Morning News. There's so much a lot of content going on. I know that we're not going to play any more clips from the interview, but I want to start with this Van Brimmer piece. All right, and I'm gonna load it up here for us. As I thought it was one of his better pieces lately, John. Okay. Georgia House race frontrunners were born 50 years apart, setting up Race for the Ages. Edna Jackson, age 77, is the city's political matriarch. Antoine Lang, 27, is the county's youngest ever elected office holder. One will win the House seat, predicted by Adam Van Brimmer. This is from 2 days ago on September 14th. I'll just read a little bit of this and then we'll talk about it. Let's see here. This is a column by editor. Oh gosh, I clicked the link. Here we go. The Georgia House District 165 special election is a race between 2 political prodigies in Edna Jackson and Antoine Lang. Both launched their public profiles in their teenage years. Jackson as a youth and the leader in the Savannah Civil Rights Movement. Lang as a legislative intern for local state lawmakers and the youngest ever appointee to a city affairs commission. That Jackson and Lang came to a political relevance half a century apart. Jackson, 77, Lang is 27, makes the November 2nd vote to choose a successor to the late Mickey Stevens, one for the ages. Jackson and Lang are the unquestioned frontrunners in the four-way race for the vacant post. The other two candidates, Sabrina Green-Kent and Clinton Young, may peel away enough votes in what is expected to be a low-turnout election to force a Jackson-Lang runoff. Both Green-Kent and Young are outclassed when it comes to campaigning and name recognition, whereas Jackson is the city's political matriarch and Lang is the county's youngest ever elected office holder. Green-Kent and Young are a combined 0 for 6 in lifetime in elections. It's the icon versus the upstart. Expect the generational divide to be the wedge issue in this race, not so much about whether Jackson is too old or Lang too young, but which of them is a fit for the district they wish to represent. Is the seasoned pro with all the local connections and decades upon decades worth of political capital best for District 165, or is the Georgia Capitol insider with the ability to hold the seat long-term a key factor in building power at the State House a more appealing choice? The special election is essentially a 3-year deal. Georgia House terms are 2 years long, with the next cycle starting in 2023, meaning a 2022 election. The victor in November will almost certainly win next year and claim a major advantage in 2024 and beyond. Incumbent state legislators are difficult for challengers to defeat. The only changes in our 8-member delegation in recent years came about when seats opened up due to deaths with Representative Stevens and Representative Bob Bryant, and resignations, Congressman Carter, Senator Watson, Representative Craig Gordon. Typically incumbents, what'd you say?
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
So,
I mean, it's mush.
It's mush?
It's mush.
I mean, I thought the first half of that was pretty good writing, actually, right?
Well, you know, he says that the other two candidates are outclassed by Edna.
Yeah, I mean, no, we're going to get into the substance here in just a second. No, all right. So outclassed is like a very loaded term right there, I think, Adam, who's on the screen right now, by the way. That's Adam Van Brimmer for those of you who are viewing our video. What I'm seeing, Clinton Young got 42% against Mickey Stevens less than 18 months ago. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't mention that in the
that's not a small amount. And that is name ID. Okay. Sabrina Green-Kent is about to roll out the endorsement of ILA 1414, one of the most influential organizations in the county, especially in Democratic politics. All right. I think that's an oversight on his part. Not to mention, and I'm not going to say who, but I spoke with a Democratic insider recently this week. I'll tell you who later, John, but I know he wouldn't want me to mention his name on the podcast. But he said, that guy Clinton Coward, you should be watching out for him because Joe Biden got 71% of this district. That means there's 29% of this district is likely to vote for the Libertarian candidate. If there's a 95% turnout amongst Republicans, then you could see him making the runoff. So there's not even a mention of that. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, John. But I pulled this article to read here, basically because I would agree that Antoine and the former Mayor Jackson, are the front runners. But Dennis Kucinich was the front runner for the Cleveland mayor's race 8 weeks ago, and he just missed the runoff by 7-8 points.
Okay.
So polling, name ID, name recognition, those are predictors of success. But in a special election, which I'm about to bring up this example, because John, more than anybody how fluid a special election is. In 1999, when you won your special election, how many votes did you win by, John?
Chuck, it was 2002.
I'm sorry, 2002, rather. I'm sorry.
I won by 11 votes in a row.
You won by 11 votes.
Yeah.
How many times did they count the ballots?
Well, because the margin of error was so low, they automatically got a recount.
Right.
And I lost one of those 11 because it was hanging Chad. They couldn't figure it out. So they took it away from me, knowing that the 10 votes was enough to make me the winner. And there's a lot of people out there that like to point out that I served very little time. It's an interesting way of saying.
Absolutely.
But
exactly. Yeah.
it is true, and you know, I think I mixed things up a little bit and created some, you know, interest and energy, and you know, I learned real quick. You cross the Chamber of Commerce, and you get in trouble.
And let's remind everybody, who did you lose your re-election campaign to?
Pat Shea.
Ah, Pat Shea.
Yeah.
The same of Gunnar Meyerhoff and Shea?
Yeah.
Yeah. A person who's highly connected and has sold us out time and time again. So when people say that about you, I just laugh and go, and so Pat Shea did a whole lot for us, right?
Yeah, right.
Did a whole lot for his firm, right?
You could put Pat Shea's public policy accomplishments in a thimble, and that's after serving 3 terms, so 12 years on the county commission. So anyway, right. I don't want to live in the past, but you know, we've learned that we can be effective outside of office, and you know, given my advanced age, this is a comfortable position for me because I don't have to be a candidate. I can help identify candidates and help candidates understand the structural policy changes that we need to make a better community. And I'm enjoying it on the sidelines immensely.
Yeah, I don't understand why people have not gotten that. I mean, you know, Ralph Nader ran for president a bunch of times and has written more legislation than most sitting members of Congress has.
The other wonderful thing the trope that they trot out is, you know, he ran for mayor and chairman of the county commission. He lost both those races. That was 2007 and 2008. And that's true.
Yes.
What very few people understand, except my close friends and insiders, is those were guerrilla theater campaigns, to
push the policy direction.
Right. And I got in trouble at the Savannah Morning News when Michael Traynor said, John, how do you expect to win this election against Otis Johnson? He's just had 1 term. Now he's up for a 2nd term. How are you going to win this? And I told Tom Barton and Michael Traynor, I'm not going to win it.
I'm not going to win it.
I'm going to lose. And they looked at me like I had 16 heads and kind of said, well, you know, they're stammering. What do you mean? And I said, it's simple. It cost me $1,100 to file as a candidate for mayor. And between your paper and the local TV networks here, I'm going to get $20,000, $30,000 worth of media exposure. And
that's right.
They shook their heads, big dead paws, and said, okay. So after that, coverage dropped off real quick on candidates. But anyway, you know, the next election, I ran for chairman the very next year against Pete Lukakis.
Right.
His 2nd term.
Pete Lukakis. I mean, you know, a name that just rings bad things.
I spent all the $1,200 in that filing fee. Okay. Mm-hmm. I got 33,000 votes. I think it cost me about 16 cents a vote, right? Pete spent $300,000 and got 60,000 votes, but it wound up costing him $16 a vote. So I paid 16 cents a vote. He had to spend $16 or $20 a vote. So
it's like the Brad Pitt movie Moneyball.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't win the championship, but you changed the way a lot of politics ended up being done, and you became kind of a major pundit, you know, over the years since then.
I felt like Chuck Yeager, you know, trying to break the sound barrier in this fucking town.
Sure. Right. Oh, it's okay, man. It's okay. All right. Well, I want to play another round of our game, Pump It or Dump It. We did this in a member show. a while back, and you asked me the questions that time.
So now it's my turn.
Yeah, now it's your turn. So I got a couple of these, and let me just queue up what I want to share for this first one. John, pump it or dump it. The Alex Murdaugh movie will be Savannah's biggest movie production in the last 5 years. Pump it or dump it.
Pump it, and I hope it films at the fairgrounds.
So we haven't talked about this yet, but I wanted to throw this into the pump it or dump it. This fucking story, I cannot say it any other way, gets wilder and wilder. Did you see today's headlines?
Chuck, I'll be honest with you. I tuned out of this drama yesterday or the day before because people from California were texting and emailing.
Oh, yeah.
Saying,
What's going on down there?
What's wrong with you people? So,
all right. So, guys, this guy, Alex Murdaugh, apparently, there was his son and his wife got murdered a while back. There was a murder up a maid a few years ago. There was a murder on a boat a couple years ago. And then this guy sets up, apparently, his drug dealer to kill him for an insurance payout. My God, I cannot wait for the movie to get made for this. And like you said, I hope it gets filmed at the fairgrounds.
I want to clarify something before we get a shitload of hate mail. We are not making light of tragic deaths and dysfunction and drug addiction.
Sure.
We are merely riffing on the news in a very little micro way. We are not heinous people. Drug addiction.
Oh, it's a tragic story, but the sensationalism of it cannot be you can't ignore the sensationalism of this.
Well, I bet you Marinelli is out pitching locations to whoever's writing the script.
I hope that the girl who's running the Murdaugh murder podcasts, which is John, this podcast,
have her on the show,
is the number 2 downloaded crime themed podcast in the world in the last month. I'm just saying, I think it's amazing how it's approaching midnight. It's almost there. All right. Next, pump it or dump it, John. I don't have a screenshot for this one, but next one. Pump it or dump it, John. Roger Moss for school board president. Got that rumor 3 times in the last week. That race is starting. Yeah, but
they're saying
from other people. Oh no, I'm getting that rumor. No, I'm getting that story back to me recently. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Roger Moss is an extremely talented musical, probably one of Savannah's best musical talents, I'd say. Very gives a lot back to the community. Very much in that chamber.
Let's keep the game going. Okay, Roger Moss for school board president.
Pump it or dump it.
Dump it.
Dump it.
And I'll tell you why.
Let's hear it.
Okay, Roger is such a sweetheart of a guy.
Yes.
Who does not have one iota of dissonance or pushback in his DNA. He would become miserable and basically just become a regular standing vote for the status quo. I don't want to see Roger, who I consider a friend, in that position.
Super nice guy.
Too nice a guy to go in.
He doesn't have the ability to throw the elbows, I think. It's a rough and tumble. Did you see some of that school board meeting a couple of weeks ago? It's crazy down there. So
it's the last frontier in Chatham County, Chuck.
It is most definitely a third rail here.
Yeah. I hope to live long enough to see reform occur there.
Oh, man, I hope not to have to raise children through that school system. Yeah. That's kind of my takeaway there. All right, let's do another one. Same theme. right, John, pump it or dump it.
Okay.
Amir Toure bows out of the school board president's race, and Taisha Whiteley runs again. Pump it or dump that.
Whoa. Well, first of all, Amir told me on Saturday, Chuck, when we were out at One Victory Drive, that he's running for a district seat.
Yes.
Okay. Now
I think that's the correct, but remember, he had announced that he was going to run for school board president a while back. There was a lot of press about it, a lot of social media coverage about it, and now I think it appears it's going to be a district seat. So that means there's got to be a candidate for school board president.
I'm going to say pump it, because Amir will be an excellent addition to the school board in a district seat, and after serving a term or two there, hey man, the guy could take the top slot and probably do wonders. So I like him. I would support him. I would contribute to him, and I like the idea that he's narrowed his focus to a district race where the incumbent is retiring. So
great. I hope it's one of the West Side seats, probably the 5th district.
It is.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do one more here. All right, John. Pump it or dump it. Carl Gilliard for Leicester's Senate seat.
Oh.
I know you were. I knew you were going to be stumped on these.
Yeah. Well, Carl Gilliard.
Representative Carl Gilliard represents the West Side.
What has he done?
You know, John, he's co-sponsored a couple of bills about gangs. You know, let me say this. Carl Gilliard does a shit ton for the community of the West Side, okay? That man feeds more people than Second Harvest, it feels like sometimes, okay? Yeah. He's a good man. I give him that. He is a good guy. I don't perceive him to be a very strong Democratic legislator. I perceive him to just kind of be a local political gadfly. Passing out
turkeys at Thanksgiving.
I hear you.
Or Happy Meals in the 3rd district is not a policymaker. You are not a policymaker.
No, you're a social worker, a social servant.
Yeah, you're an angel with food delivery. I mean, go work for Uber or Uber Eats, but don't try to fix a highly flawed matrix of interlocking policy, passing out turkeys or Happy Meals. So for now, it's a dump it.
Yeah. All right, let's do I got one more for you. I seen Julius in the comments, you know, and I don't know if he's got an update for us on what happened in court today. But now that, you know, the race may not include him for mayor, pump or dump making the Port Wentworth city elections about the growth of the logistics industry and kind of just putting that issue out in front and center, because there's major lawsuits going on in Port Wentworth about the easements and the zoning for these warehouses. And these are citizen-driven lawsuits, John. So these aren't like one corporation trying to tank another. It's like some serious resident pushback. And then one of those cases is going to go to the Georgia Supreme Court soon, I believe. So pump or dump making the Port Wentworth elections about hyper growth of the logistics and port industry.
No, I pump it.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything we've learned, you know, in the last decade here, Chuck, is development, particularly tourism development, equals gentrification. And without a kiss at the end of the process, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Wages are flat or behind the rampant growth and expansion and success that comes from all these warehouses and all these tourists. And if we don't learn our lesson, we're just going to continue to repeat it. So hopefully Port Wentworth is at a nascent phase of growth, and that they can get a handle around it with, sensible policies, impact fees. You got to apply the same rules to the little guy, to the middle guy, to the big guy. No Harold Yellen performances where he gets 30 minutes to talk and a citizen talks for 3 minutes. I see Port Wentworth as in a very nascent point where the right leadership could really direct and hone Port Wentworth's future development into a fair win-win situation. And without courageous people there, I don't see that happening.
Look, John, Pooler and Port Wentworth, two of the most critical suburbs of Savannah, are also two of the most rapidly changing areas of the county. And there's got to be some change along with that growth.
Well, we're operating with 1950s policies for the most part, and people are just getting crushed by a system that refuses to yield, refuses to adapt, refuses to accommodate communities, and the winners take all is very much in effect. The silos of wealth that don't spread laterally, that's an old paradigm, but we can't seem to break out of it. So hopefully a small community like Port Wentworth at this early date, if they could get some stuff done right and keep it going, they could have a very bright future.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's shift to one more topic, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay, next week we're going to play Pump It or Dump It, and I'm not going to give you any heads up.
That's right, baby. It's top of the cabeza.
You're making me feel like Charlie Brown tonight.
It's the gut reaction. When we want to get that reaction here. So at least this last topic is one you guys should prepare a little bit on. But I picked up this article for subscribers only from the Savannah Morning News. This is from their newest reporter, one of their newest ones, Zoe Nicholson, who her writing is around growth and development in the Savannah metropolitan area.
Welcome, Zoe.
Yeah, welcome, Zoe. I'm hopeful. She's very, very well followed on Twitter, by the way. Not that means anything.
Man, they
here in Savannah.
This is good news.
Yeah, this seems to be a pretty balanced article, but let me just get into the reading of it, and you stop me when you wanna talk about it. All right?
Well, read what you want for audience benefit. I've
read it. You read it earlier. Yeah.
Despite having to reconfirm for the 1,000th time that I have a paid subscription.
I know.
God damn.
I think they do that to you on purpose. Yeah. All right, title of the article is Fairgrounds Project Poised to Transform Community, but City Isn't Listening to Fears, Neighbors Say. One of the main interviews is the West Side Coalition leader, Betty Jones, very influential retired teacher. Let me get into the rub of it. The former Coastal Empire Fair brought crowds to the quiet area. Jones grew up one block from the main gates across Medding Street. The plucky sounds of arcade games and timeless soundtracks of festival rides would reach your ears every night the fair was in town, lighting the sky with a neon glow. Jones and her neighbors would earn extra cash for fair tickets or Christmas presents by charging fairgoers to park in their yards.
Sure.
Jones hasn't forgotten the crime and violence the fair brought to her neighborhood in later years, before he moved to Fort Argyle Road, when she pleaded with local police to protect her community. Filer Park has changed from what Jones knew as a child. Still a lower-income neighborhood, several properties sit vacant in blight, while commercial businesses have taken over large parcels on Medding and Montgomery streets. The skating rink is now a warehouse. A fill-up station is now a daycare. Plans for the redevelopment of the now city-owned fairgrounds property will potentially bring hundreds more residents, new businesses, and added traffic that will affect the community's character. So I'll just stop there and say we all kind of know that that's the main issue there, right? Whatever development goes on this property is going to fundamentally change that neighborhood. The question is, are the current residents there going to benefit? And can we make it in a way where the community as a whole benefits? All right. Council bought this property for $2.9 million under Eddie DeLoach in 2016.
Yeah, why did they buy it, Chuck? Refresh my memory.
Fuck, man.
I think they just need to help the JCs out.
I want to say that it was something like that, but also I think they were pitching it that it was like, let's save the fairgrounds to keep, I don't know, I think it was a reactionary move to, it was the Lions Club that sold it, John, right? Okay, it was the Lions Club of Savannah.
All right.
So I think it was just, if we don't buy this property from the Lions Club, they'll sell it to somebody who, whatever the property fits in the zoning, they'll be able to do, and we'd rather have some control. Honestly, the answer to your question is Eddie DeLoach and them needed votes. So they bought that property to try and secure more support in the west side, all right?
Yeah, what year was that?
2016 when they closed on it.
That's right, Chuck. That's right when the Salvation Army was negotiating with the Housing Authority of Savannah.
Or at least Buddy Carter was.
Yeah.
At the federal level.
Yeah. So
Let me read this piece here.
Right.
The city of Savannah bought the fallow 67-acre property at 4101 Medding Street for $2.9 million in 2016. City Council presented 3 finalists for the project in July to a packed house of residents. The proposals include a mix of residential and commercial buildings, plus extensive plans for recreational facilities. You can see these 3 proposals. I'll put this link in the comments in the description. But residents of the aging neighborhood, of the aging neighboring communities, fear development will bring crime, noise pollution, and traffic to their quiet neighborhoods. According to Pat Harris, it's Pat Harris, not Betty Jones, rather. Pat Harris, leader of the 5th District Coalition. Harris said their concerns have largely fallen on deaf ears at City Hall. We are the machine that keeps our district moving forward positively. Of course, we have met challenges, Harris said. Mayor Van Johnson said the city has engaged the community at every step of the process, including hosting community meetings and presenting the proposals to the public before a vote was taken. We've held countless meetings out there, he said.
No, he's covering up.
Of course he's covering, because this is the telling line here. The District 5 Alderwoman, Mayor Pro Tem Estella Shabash, declined an interview with Savannah Morning News about the fairgrounds, citing legal constraints until the city procures a developer of the project. The city's not procuring a developer, John. They're looking at who they sell the property to, and they're going to develop it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's about selling a property to the bidder that's going to have the best impact on that neighborhood and on our community. It's not about procurement. This isn't a procurement issue. I think that's a cop-out. Answer the questions. You got elected there.
I'll tell you, Chuck.
Go ahead.
Arching macro observation to me is this is Estella Shabazz's district. Okay, make no mistake about it. And she is losing control over her constituency. There's infighting. There's her inability to get initial proposals. I mean, the city worked against her with Michael Brown.
Yes, they did.
The Pat Monahan RFP was flawed. He opened them too soon. Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't mean that it was fatally flawed. It just means that it wasn't ideal. But of course, Estella was not aligned with Van at the time. So her fussing and arguing fell on deaf ears. She had no basis to leverage her position. I think she has since now flipped over to the mayor's side of the aisle, and I don't think Van's going to reward her. I think thus she is twisting in the wind in the 5th district without a home port. And right. I didn't get elected to that seat, so good luck.
John, here's kind of my take. Okay, The mayor wants affordable housing. The residents do not. Okay.
Yep.
The residents want to see an economic driver that has minority participation. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, the group here, it says here at the end of the article, the Fifth District Coalition prefers the deal, they're endorsing Craig Gordon's plan. This is former state representative Craig Gordon, somebody who has been working on a project like this for some time, somebody who pushed hard while he was in the legislature for these film tax credits, probably one of his biggest accomplishments during his career from the minority side of the aisle. John, I for one agree with the mayor a little bit here. I think there's got to be some housing. We need housing. It's a huge issue. I don't agree we would use the whole thing for housing.
Oh no, you couldn't possibly. That shot,
probably way too much of a burden.
That aerial shot shows you how expansive the place is. Look, let me speak spiritually, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the right word for it. Karma's a bitch. All right. Estella did not support preserving the Weeping Time track. She voted for the special use permit for the Salvation Army. It wasn't her district.
Did she? I thought it was 5-4. No, I think she voted against that one. We'll have to find out though. Anybody in the comments, let us know if you know already.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me. While that's being adjudicated, Estella Shabazz has not shown up to any Weeping Time.
Sure.
Meetings, discussions. Okay, and this subject and proximity to her district, you would think that she would be helping Bernetta sort this mess out, and she's not. Furthermore, to my earlier comment, she's losing consensus on her own project, the Fairground. Right. So I'm sorry, but karma has a funny way of working itself around and biting you. So it could be that. I don't know. I don't envy Estella because it's been so turbulent and mismanaged at this point. And then Brown came back and said, "Oh, there's contamination in the soil. We couldn't possibly do a movie studio."
Right.
And that was really done to allow SCAD enough time to consummate their 11-acre deal on Louisville Road, or CEDA's entry into. Maybe there's enough damn film production to have 3 different film entities: SCAD, CEDA, and Estella's Craig Gordon project.
I just want to, because again, I want to be factual here. This is from WSAV. The motion passed 5-4 on the special use permit for the Weeping Time. It was Lanier, Gibson Carter, Alicia Blakely Miller, and Alderwoman Stella Shabazz voting against it. So, she did vote against that permit. This is my issue, though. My issue is that if this is about affordable housing with the mayor, why did you guys vote to keep the millage rate the same, which raised exclusively more revenue from non-Stevens Day property, right? We have a $2.1 million tax increase for the general fund from property taxes, and it will come in the form of rent increases to low-income people. Landlords are going to pass that along plus 10%, on the next lease renewal. So how can you say that this is about housing when you're sitting here raising the cost of housing citywide?
Chuck, it's wildly hypocritical because Van Johnson, the mayor, his housing task force, his own hand-picked panel of, highly qualified experts in the field, not distantly, but locally, concluded that 42% of the residents in the city of Savannah are not living in affordable housing. That is, they are barred from renting at an affordable rate.
That's right.
how he could not roll back the taxes, take the overage and the digest, which, to your point, is only going to impact non-Stevens Day commercial properties, mostly apartments, and put a further stressor on affordable housing inventory. Makes no sense to me.
Well, look, I don't really have a dog in the fight of whether Benny Pelot's development deal, which includes housing and a movie studio, or J. Craig Gordon's proposal. I'm not really 100% sure which one's the best. Anybody from the leadership of the Fifth District Coalition, Pat Harris, you want to come on and talk about it? Dr. R.G. Bryant, I spoke with you earlier. You want to come on here and talk about it? Amir Touré. Anybody wants to come talk about it? We'd be happy to dedicate an episode.
Yeah, we should facilitate this
to this issue.
We really
because
should.
You and I don't have the answers from the community or from the development perspective.
I'm blaming Estella for voting for the.
No, I mean, I just think she didn't do enough leadership on the issue. It's kind of what your point you were making.
Yeah,
making there.
When they ultimately did the archaeological report and submitted it, I'm pretty certain Estella voted at that point to grant the special use permit. So that was the second vote, Chuck, that came 60 days, 80 days after the initial permit. So no, I agree with you. It'd be,
in a procedural motion to close the issue. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand what it is you're saying. Well, John, we had a massive day today, dual recording session, over 3 hours of content. I just want to remind our live viewers and people who will, see this show over the weekend. We'll be posting the full interview from Sabrina Green Kent.
After we.
No, I'm going to post it for the members this weekend, John.
Okay.
Not public though.
Okay.
Yeah. But so if you want to get early access to this interview, because I don't think we're going to release these interviews for like a week and a half. All right. If you want early access, click the link, or type in the link rather you see scrolling across patreon.com/BetterSavannah. I will schedule the post to publish probably while I'm in Atlanta, over the weekend here. So
fun, man.
I will, man. I'm going to see the girlfriend and I are going to go to the Vincent Van Gogh immersive experience, and then to a Banksy art exhibition show. So it's a big art weekend for the Chuckster here.
Wow, you're going to come back
eating cheese and sipping wine and cultured. Pinky's out, baby.
Yeah, you're going to be talking about Monet and Manet and what the difference is between the two. So
I think one of them married his cousin.
Oh well, he must be from. Never mind.
He must be from France. I don't know. It could be Rudy Giuliani too, but that's a good joke. Still a good joke. All right, guys, we appreciate you joining in for the live broadcast. Please do us a favor. Like this content, share this content to your own feed, share it to those groups you're in, both on Facebook, YouTube, social media, Twitter, all that stuff. And please support us. What'd you say?
Sign up on bettersavannah.org, donate, join.
That's right. Join, donate, the cause is right and the time is now. So we've got about 7 weeks until Election Day. We need all the help we can get to kind of get our message out to more people in these couple of elections. All right. So, absolutely. John, thanks so much for your hard work today, buddy.
Hey, thanks.
I appreciate
so well while I was in California. I still owe you.
Hey, man, we just need a couple more, couple more candidates, couple more episodes, and we'll be hitting the door on 100 here real soon. It feels like. Okay, so. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
Don't you think it's time for the city of Savannah to have an honest tourism management plan? Let SCAD start paying its fair share? And the hospitality industry needs to increase its wages? The impacts of new growth should not cost residents. All local elected officials on council and commission should have term limits. We're working hard to accomplish these policies. We need your help. Please contribute whatever you can. $5, $10, or $20 by going to bettersavannah.org. Donate. Thank you.
I appreciate our tourism community. I appreciate our hoteliers.